Tucson and the world. Welcome to our service this morning. If you're able and willing, please stand, wave your hands, clap, or wave your arms, clap your hands, whatever turns you on.
I know the truth about you. I see the power within you. I know that love surrounds you. Everything is all right. I know the truth about you. I see the light within you. Just let it shine on brightly. Everything is all right. I see you dripping with abundance and ease. I see you enjoying life, you peace. Playful at work and creative in play. I see your gratitude every day. And I say, I know the truth about you. I see the power within you. I know the love surrounds you. Everything is all right. I know the truth about you. I see the light within you. Just let it shine on brightly. Everything is all right. I know the dreams of your heart want to fly. It's time to spread your wings and give it a try. The love you give, I know you're bound to receive. Your good can only grow the more you believe. Come on now, I know the truth about you. I see the power within you. I know that love surrounds you. Everything is all right. I know the truth about you. I see the light within you. Just let it shine on brightly. Everything is all right. It's all right. It's all right. It's all right. Yourself and be defined and got no place to hide, because I know the truth about you. I see the power within you. I know that love surrounds you. Everything is all right. I know the truth about you. I see the light within you. Just let it shine on brightly. Everything is all right. I know the truth about you. I see the power within you. I know that love surrounds you. Everything is all right. I know the truth about you. I see the light within you. Just let on shine brightly. Everything is all right.
Well, good morning once again. Welcome to Unity of Tucson. We are a spiritual community celebrating love. And some of the ways we get to what we're all about is we have a vision and a mission statement here. And the vision, if you would all read this together with me, is we envision a world awakened to its magnificence. And that's a great vision, but how do we get there? We've got that taken care of for you too with our mission statement. Together, love only, forgive everything, remember who you are. Okay, I'd like to personally welcome each and every one of you to the service this morning, both the ones in the room and the ones online. You're really important to us. And for those joining us for the first time online, if you would go to unitytucson.com/connect, there's a little form you could fill out if you'd like to get some more information about us. We'd love to be in contact with you. Now, for the people in the room that are here for the first time, you should have received a gift packet when you came in. If you didn't, please stop at the table on the way out and pick one up. We'd love to share some of our gifts with you. And the gift packet is very nice, but we have something even more magnificent than that gift packet. So, if you're new and you're willing to stand up and identify yourself and remain standing, we'd love to give you this special gift. So anyone in the room the first time? There we go. Okay, so, wow, all right. Okay, if you remain standing, just open your heart. We've got something that's truly wonderful to give you. Are you ready? Okay. You are magnificent. Thank you so much. Now, for those that are new here, there's a reason we know this about you, and that's because we know this about each and every person in here, including ourselves. So, I would like you to join me in proclaiming what we know about each and every one of us, and that is, I am magnificent. Wow, I don't even have to do it twice like Reverend Jonathan does. So, oh, yeah, and for those of you who are new here, I'm not Reverend Jonathan. And even luckier for you, I'm not the senior minister here. So, my name is William, actually, and I'll be your MC this morning. And the next part of the service is something that we do here at Unity of Tucson, and I don't know if anybody does it anywhere else, but it's particularly meaningful, and that's lighting the flames of faith. And each week we ceremoniously honor the different faith traditions that exist in the world and recognize that at the bottom of all these traditions is love. So I'd like to introduce Laura Cass and Dawn Brazil as our keepers of the flame this week.
You may notice I'm standing in a different place because I didn't think people over there could see me before. So anyway, just changing things up all the time. And before I start, I want to shout out a big thank you to Ruth Starwell, who did the meditation this morning, because Ruth, that was right on. I was having a little trouble connecting with my inner guidance and inner wisdom this morning, and that was your meditation. Thank you. So, all right. We're ready? We light a candle for the Tao, honoring the universal path of harmony and equilibrium, the natural way. We light a candle for the shamanic traditions, honoring the beliefs and practices of all indigenous people, the way of primal spirituality. We light a candle for Hinduism, honoring the path of knowledge, action, and devotion. We light a candle for Judaism, honoring the ethical path of living by sacred law. We light a candle for all forms of Buddhism, honoring the Four Noble Truths and the path of compassion. We light a candle for all forms of Christianity, honoring the Christ consciousness as the path of love. We light a candle for all forms of Islam, honoring the path of submission to divine love as the highest calling. We light a candle for the universalistic religion of Baha'i, honoring the path of unity and peace. We light a candle for all forms of New Thought, honoring the metaphysical path of mental healing through the practice of universal spiritual principles. We light a candle for all those who are yet unaware of the power and presence of Spirit in their lives, and for the space that we are holding for them, and for all faith traditions unnamed in this ceremony. The final candle is the healing candle. It represents the revealing of the divinity at the core of all experience. This is your candle for whatever is in your mind and heart that requires the light. Okay.
Thank you, Laura. Thank you, Dawn. So let's see, make sure I get the directions right. The candle on your left, my right, is the peace candle, and we keep this constantly illuminated. You stop here on a Tuesday afternoon and peek in the window, you'll see it's on. And we keep it illuminated because we know with all the strife in the world, peace is eventually going to be the ultimate outcome. So if you'd say the prayer of peace with me, Divine love indwells each person and radiates from one to another. Harmony is established and peace begins to reign in the world. Thank you. And if today's prayer chaplain would come up. Sandy?
Would be me.
Okay, take it away.
All right. Good morning. It's wonderful, wonderful to see each one of you here. You're just such beautiful, beautiful lights of that magnificence. Thank you for being on this path. So, this morning, as Laura has already mentioned, Ruth did a wonderful meditation about inner stillness and inner guidance. And so if you have time, please listen to that meditation. We have that at 9:30 here in the auditorium. It was wonderful. And then Reverend John Strickland, our speaker today, will be talking about listening into that silence in meditation. And so I chose some readings today about meditation. Now, one thing I'm sure is as many of us as there are, that's how many perfect meditation practices there are, right? So I just happen to have someone that speaks to me, and so I'm going to share his words this morning. And that is Adi Shante. I don't know if any of you know him or not. Yes, some people are going, oh yes. He is an enlightened being on the planet today. He comes from the background of Zen Buddhism. And he's an author of about 11 books, and he's a spiritual teacher. And by the way, he uses the word awareness a lot. Awareness is very simple. It's just, what are you aware of? That's really it. What are you aware of? It's your thoughts, it's your feelings, it's your beliefs, it's your awareness of the physical as well as maybe your awareness of the spiritual in this moment. So that's what awareness is. From the book, The Direct Way, 30 Practices to Evoke Awakening. Now, I chose the one that's about the 6th practice because it's the silent and knowing quality of awareness. Your fundamental being. After becoming centered through breath work, explore the deep silence and knowing of awareness shining as the true nature of your being. Rest into awareness. As you do, notice that awareness is naturally and already silent. It's like looking from a silent and attentive space that knows itself. This knowing quality of awareness is awareness's natural consciousness of itself. And then 2 things from the way of liberation. In meditation, you're not changing your experience. You are changing your relationship to your experience. Yeah. An attitude of open receptivity will facilitate the presence of silence and stillness to be revealed as your natural condition. All right, some thoughts on meditation. And so now what I'm going to do is we're going to work on our affirmation. And the theme for this month is renew. Yeah, some people are going, oh yeah, it's renew. And so I'm going to say this affirmation, and I just invite you to just relax and settle in and just take it in. And then we'll say it together once. All right. I am constantly renewed by the knowledge of my inherent identity, God. All right, so let's now say this together, and it will appear up here. And there it is. All right, together. I am constantly renewed by the knowledge of my inherent identity, God. Ah, yes. And now it's the most precious time. It is time to get centered for prayer.
to show you all the joy you're worthy of. I'm here to remind you how much you're truly loved. I'm here to remind you how much you're truly loved.
And now, let's just settle in to this time, this space of prayer. And just that sweet remembrance of who we are. And I'm going to say this prayer in first person, and I just invite you to accept it. Let's just take a couple of breaths to just ease into this moment. And in this moment, we know who we are. I am the unconditional love. I am that sweet, sweet compassion. I love myself and everyone else completely. I am that divine health, that divine life that flows through me as me. And I move with ease and with grace. I am absolute full abundance. I live with an open heart to receive and to give. I live in gratitude. This is the truth of our being, and we say yes to these truths. Amen.
I'm here to remind you of your magnificence, to help you awake to all the wonder that you are. I long to show you all the joy you're worthy of. I'm here to remind you of how much you're truly loved. I'm here to remind you of how much you're truly loved.
Thank you, Sandy. We've got a wonderful gift with Reverend Jonathan with his musical background here singing. And, you know, I certainly enjoy it, but once in a while, it's really nice to hear the voice of an angel up here singing. So this morning, we're going to listen to that angel, Liz Cracchiolo.
I've been living to see you, dying to see you, but it shouldn't be like this. This was unexpected. What do I do now? Could we start again, please? I'd been very hopeful so far. Now, for the first time, I think we're going wrong. Hurry up and tell me this is just a dream. Oh, could we start again, please? I think you've made your point now. You've even gone a bit too far to get the message home. Before it gets too frightening, we ought to call a halt. Could we start again, please? I'd been living to see you, dying to see you, but it shouldn't be like this. This was unexpected. What do I do now? Could we start again, please? I think you've made your point now. You've even gone a bit too far to get the message home. Before it gets too frightening, we ought to call a halt. Could we start again, please? Oh, could we start again, please? Could we start again, please? Could we start again?
Well, Liz, thank you so very much for being here and sharing your talents, and thank you for singing that song. I know John asked for that song, so thank you for doing that. Isn't that sweet? Yeah, that was really sweet. Thank you. So, this is an exciting moment for me because I get to introduce our speaker this morning, the Reverend Dr. John Strickland. And I have to tell you, he's known really as Reverend John Boy. Yes, for all those that know him. That's really what he's called. So, and I'll tell you why this is so special at the end of this. But John grew up in the Atlanta, Georgia area. He was raised mainly by a single mom, and some of us know how difficult that can be. And he had two brothers. He was raised in the Unity Sunday School. She was a very progressive woman in the South in the 50s and 60s. There's no doubt about that. And what I love is one of the stories is that when John came back as the senior minister of Atlanta Unity in 2001, there were a number of people in our congregation that knew John as a small boy and had taught him through Sunday school all the way up through high school. They had a number of stories on him. But the one that I loved the most was this dear woman, and she would say, you know, John, I remember you when you were 4 or 5 years old. And I would have to come, and I would get down in your eyes, and I would hold your little shoulders, and I would say, John Strickland, you are the child of God, so start acting like it. Yep. True story. Oh, she loved telling that story. And but one of the favorite things in his childhood was his mother. And you know, as a single mom, there wasn't extra time and there sure wasn't extra money. But she would put her 3 boys in a car and drive from Atlanta up to Asheville, North Carolina. That's a tough drive in today's world. So her boys could attend a Quaker summer camp for 6 weeks. They would be there. And this is John's happiest childhood memories because he learned a lot about love. He learned to love everyone regardless of their ethnic background. That's an important thing to learn in the South in the 50s and 60s. And he also learned about sitting in the silence, because the Quakers' Sunday services, or their meetings as they call them, they sit in the silence and wait for God or divinity to press through them before they speak. So that had a lot to do with John. John was a good student. He was a good athlete. And unfortunately, during his senior year in high school, his mother passed. And so he finished school in the foster care system. But regardless of his challenges, and there were many for him, he graduated as valedictorian of his senior class, as well as football captain of the football team. But that earned him a complete scholarship at Vanderbilt. I'll let him tell you his college experience, because that's part of his talk this morning. But upon graduation, he knew he wanted to be a minister. Now, his father was a doctor. His brother was in medical school. So his father's going, "Really? A minister? You've got to be kidding me." So to help Dad out, he applied into 2 schools. One was the Harvard Divinity School, and one was the Unity Ministerial School. He was accepted in both. He chose Unity because he knew what he believed, and he knew what he wanted to preach, what he wanted to teach. So he went into ministerial school, and he graduated from the Unity Ministerial School at age 23, took his first church. Yeah. So he's had a 43-year career as a Unity minister. Now, during that time, John has served churches from New York City all the way to Hawaii. But the things I think he's most proud about was being the assistant to the Unity Poet Laureate James Dillard Freeman. He was also assistant to Eric Butterworth in New York. From 1984 to 1991, he was the director of Silent Unity, worldwide prayer ministry. The thing, though, I think he talks about the most is he was the project manager for the design and construction of the 80,000 square foot Silent Unity building at Unity Village, which we know as Silent Unity today. So John's last ministry was Unity Atlanta, and he was there from, as I mentioned, 2001 to 2017, where he retired. And during that time in his ministry, and this was at the beginning of his ministry, he was a forerunner in supporting and performing same-sex marriages. Unity Atlanta was one of the most integrated churches in Atlanta. One of John's passions is interfaith work. In our church, and this is the thing that I remember and love the most, was the Taste of Faith, where we would have a Muslim imam, Jewish rabbi. Sometimes John was more the MC, and so he would invite someone to represent more of the Christian thought. A lot of people would not say that we represent the Christian thought, but his really good friends was Dr. Lawrence Carter, and he was the dean of the Martin Luther King Chapel at the Morehouse College. That was the college of Martin Luther King. And he actually, because of the work he's done there, he is on the board of preachers for that institution. So Dr. Lawrence would come in, and he knew, or Dr. Lawrence Carter, he knew our teachings, but he just had to get in there every once in a while to save a soul or something, because it's good Baptist, and we loved it. We just loved it. And then after it was finished, we would go into fellowship hall, and everybody would have their food of their country. And you could talk about your belief systems and sharing. And it was just one of those memorable times. So, I could go on forever. And the reason is because the Reverend John Strickland is the love of my life. He is my life partner. And so it's with great honor and privilege I introduce you to the Reverend Dr. John Strickland, or John Boy.
I am honored to be here to speak to you, to fill in for the Reverend Dr. Jonathan, who is, I don't think quite yet, but he will be doing his pilgrimage in Spain and probably starting next week. Has he already started? He leaves tomorrow, and our love goes with him, and it's an honor that he would entrust this congregation to me. And I'm happy to be retired and to come and let him and all of you minister unto me. What a great joy that is after all the years I've done the ministering, to be ministered unto. So to come out of retirement, give a talk, it's a beautiful thing. And I told him what I wanted to talk about, and he said, I can get Liz to sing that song for you. The interesting thing about that song is we were talking while she was rehearsing and so forth, and said, well, that was from the 1973 movie, Jesus Christ Superstar, and it was a movie that followed the play. Now, she knew the play, but she didn't know that song because it wasn't in the play. It was in the movie, and I asked for that. It was a big screen success, and that movie, that song, Could We Start Again, Please, touched me deeply, and it has stayed with me. And I remember 1973, I was 21 years old, the head of our young adults group at Unity Church in Atlanta, and we all loaded up our cars and went to see Jesus Christ Superstar. And we were thrilled. It was electrifying. And so you now know, after Sandy has told you how many years I served and when I started, about how old I am. But I want you to know that I'm younger than the picture that you saw in the promotion about me. I am youthing, and glad to be youthing with you. Now, in the movie, after the crucifixion of Jesus, his close friend, and some scholars would say his wife, Mary Magdalene, sings that song. Could we start again, please? Let me repeat a couple of the lyrics. I've been living to see you, dying to see you, but it shouldn't be like this. This was unexpected. What do I do now? Could we start again, please? What do we do when our hopes and dreams and everything we worked for have been destroyed, dashed, might even say crucified? What do we do? I say we can start again, please. And we must start again, please. In 1974, I heard the Reverend Bob Stevens, who founded a magnificent Unity Church in San Diego. Some of you may have been there. We're not that far from San Diego. It's a great church, great ministry there. He was speaking to the class of graduates and ordinands in Unity Ministerial School. Not my class. That was a couple of years later, but I was there early, and so I listened to him. And one of the salient points that he made was this: there are two great tragedies in life. The first is to have a great dream, a high aspiration, a big goal, and to fail in your attempt to achieve it. The other is to have a great dream, a high aspiration, a big goal, and to actually achieve it. Now, I pondered that for a long time, and this is what I think he meant. If we have a big goal and give ourselves to it heart and soul and fail, well, we're crushed, and we want to quit. We want to just give up, to labor ourselves a failure and just end the dream. It is over. On the other hand, if we achieve that big goal and against all obstacles, against all the odds, and we succeed, there's a tendency to say, well, I've done it, hallelujah. And let's just sit back and rest on our laurels. I say there are two great times to get up and get going again. When we've had a great success and when we've had a great failure. if we have a great success, the energy is obviously for us, isn't it? And it boosts us. And wow, why quit then? Let's go forward. If we have a failure, then in some way we can say that the energy has been against us. And we've got to change that energy, or it's going to follow us and we'll have more failures. So we have to change that energy and get up and get going. Some coaches, both athletic coaches and life coaches, preach that we learn more from our failures than we do from our successes. Have you found that to be true? Yeah, we're going to look at that. One of the greatest athletes of all time was the 1960 Olympic decathlon champion, Rayford Johnson. Any of you remember him? Okay. After winning the 1960 Olympics event, which was considered the greatest event, 10 events in 2 days that you have to do lots of different things, and see, he was asked, when did you start training for that 1960 Olympics? And he said, 1956, after I just lost in the Olympics. So he got up and he got going again. Sometimes we have a hidden victory when it appears to us in all the world that we have lost. One of my favorite stories was by the French novelist and playwright Jules Verne, Around the World in 80 Days. You know it, right? You may have read the book, you may have seen plays, you may have seen, I don't know how many movies about that. But it's set in the late 1800s, and the protagonist, Phileas Fogg, makes a bet for a considerable sum of money that he can journey around the world in 80 days. He arrives home a day late, or so he thinks. So he thinks. He is distraught. However, in this journey, he's found the love of his life, and he wants to marry her. And so he sends his manservant, Passepartout, to make arrangements with the local minister for a wedding the very next day. But the manservant makes a remarkable discovery. Phileas Fogg has actually won the bet. The minister cannot perform the marriage the following day because that would be Sunday, and he couldn't do it. So now Passepartout runs home, and he manhandles his boss, drags him to the venue to receive the prize just in the nick of time. You see, as learned and erudite as Mr. Fogg was, he had not taken into account the different time zones around the world. And he had traveled east. So he actually got home a day before he did. He was distraught, thinking he had lost, but in fact had won. He arrived at the venue 4 hours ahead of time. And more than that, he found happiness with the love of his life. Now I'll tell you my story when I was distraught, thinking I had lost, and there was no hope, and I was depressed, but I had actually won. As Sandy explained, I had grown up without a father around. He left when I was 7 years old. We didn't know where he was for many years. And in high school, I was a good athlete and a good student, but then toward the end of my senior year, my mother died, and I had to get someone to sponsor me so I could stay in that school and graduate. Nevertheless, I earned a full scholarship to one of the finest universities in the South, Vanderbilt. And at Vanderbilt, we sort of made a little joke and said, well, Harvard is the Vanderbilt of the North. So that's how we thought about that. My dream was to be a high school football coach and a math teacher. I was very good at mathematics, and I worked very hard at Vanderbilt and earned a starting position on the freshman team. And I was invited by the coaches to give the prayer before the game. In those days, you could actually pray before a game. Now, you probably still can at a private school, but I was invited to do that. And after my prayer, one of my teammates said, John, why, you ought to be a preacher. I should have listened to him. During the game against Alabama. You've heard of that little football school, and now I have to tell you, they were bigger and stronger and faster than we were. And I always thought there ought to be a handicap system, like if you play for Vanderbilt, at halftime you could do differential equations or something like that, and that would count as part of the score, but that's not the way they saw it. And also, as they were pushing us around the field, and it's one of those games where I would say the turning point was the coin toss. I don't know that we even crossed midfield, but we were out there, and as they're pushing us around, we'd be saying, yeah, but you'll be working for us after college, you know. So that was some consolation. However, I had an injury to my neck and shoulder that the doctors deemed was incurable. I had torn major nerves. I could not lift my arm any higher than this. If I lifted the arm up with the other arm and let it go, it would just flop down. I couldn't do one push-up. And my dream was over. I dropped out of school, turned in my scholarship, and went home to Atlanta to lick my wounds. When you hear that it can never recover, and you're 18 years old, you think life is over. This is what my life was. I was an athlete and a scholar, and this was over. It just so happened that one of my mother's best friends was the sister-in-law of Sid Williams, who was the founder of the largest chiropractic college in the world. And I went to see him. He took a look at that, and he pretty much believed he could solve anything. And he looked at the x-ray, he looked at it, he said, there's nothing I can do. You know, with therapy, physical therapy, you can get better, but, you know, forget it. You know, this is it. And so I went back to the Unity Church that I had grown up in, and, you know, they didn't care if I played football. They didn't care if I went to Vanderbilt. They just loved me to wholeness. You know, one of the things I think about a spiritual community is to go someplace where they see the wholeness and the goodness in you, and they love you no matter what the outer is showing. And the thing that meant the most to me was the meditation. Meditation on Sunday morning, maybe 10 or 15 minutes. I found for 10 or 15 minutes a week, I didn't feel miserable. What was happening is I was knowing my oneness with God. And then I took some classes, and I got some tapes on meditation, and I found that those 10 or 15 minutes a week grew to several hours. And one morning I woke up and said, I'm not feeling miserable anymore. What am I feeling? Well, I was feeling good. I was feeling one with God. And it was 9 months after that injury that I woke up one morning and knew I was healed, and I was. And nothing has been possible to me since then. I have climbed mountains. I see some of my bicycle friends here. I have bicycled long distance. I have traveled the world. Nothing's impossible. But at that point, when I realized that I was well, I knew also that what I wanted to do was be a minister and help people in the way that I had been helped. And so after I did get back into college, but in Atlanta, and graduated with honors with a degree in mathematics. Why, I don't know, but I was good at mathematics and minors in philosophy and psychology. Got accepted to a Unity Ministerial School and also Harvard. But I knew if I went to Harvard, I would probably spend the rest of my life in the academics, which I loved. But what I really was called to do was be a Unity minister. So I went to that little unknown seminary in Kansas City, and as I say, the rest is history. To be ordained at 23, in 125 years of Unity, only about 5 or 6 people have been ordained at 23. So I was honored. what I had thought was a devastating loss was a victory for me finding and following my calling. And I have never looked back on that. I want to give you another story of triumph that seemed like failure, or maybe failure that seemed like triumph. But it's from the Old Testament, prophet Elijah. There's this great battle on Mount Carmel. And, the God of Israel versus the God of Baal. And who wins? God of Israel. Well, Elijah, he goes far beyond the victory dance and the trash talking. He has all the prophets of Baal killed. Oh, my word, that is pretty nasty, right? Well, Jezebel, oh, the evil, the mean, the awful Jezebel, she did not like that at all, so she puts a price on his head and he runs away. He is hiding in a cave, and he says, oh, God, take me now. I don't want these warriors loyal to Jezebel, so just take me now. Well, he doesn't get taken now. He actually has a time of being ministered to by angels, and they say, go and stand on the mountain before the Lord, for the Lord's about to pass by. You know that story, right? And so what happens? There's a great wind. We know something about that here, don't we? Great winds. And when you were riding this week, there were some great winds to ride your bicycle in, right? So the Lord was not in the wind. And then there was an earthquake. The Lord not in the earthquake. There's a fire. The Lord not in the fire. But finally, there was a sound of, and I want you to pay attention to this because you may think it's something different. The sound of sheer silence. Now, you probably have an older version of the Bible that says the still small voice, and that's where God was. But the modern translations, which I think are better, will say the sound of sheer silence. Elijah had to get still and listen for the sound of sheer silence before he could begin again and complete his mission here. Let's go back to Easter. The disciples and Mary Magdalene and Mary, the mother of Jesus, and all the rest of his followers have suffered the greatest loss imaginable. There's been a horrible execution of this marvelous God being, their rabbi, their friend. And I think they were thinking something like maybe what I was thinking. They fought a good fight and we lost. Our teacher is gone. What do we do now? I want you to understand this was not the end. It was the beginning. Had he not been crucified, there wouldn't have been a resurrection. And if it hadn't been the resurrection and he just lived out his life and just been one of many prophets of the Near East, we would have forgotten about him. But the crucifixion led to the resurrection, and that's what then led to what was originally Palestinian Jesus movements, but evolved into Christianity. I believe with every crucifixion, there can be a resurrection if we will what? Start again, please. And what is required is to get still in meditation and listen for the sound of sheer silence. You and I can do that. You can learn to do it here. We have meditation classes here. Do it. Come early on Sunday and get that meditation. I want to leave you with a piece of poetry that is my favorite, and it's from Tennyson's Ulysses, which is a very long poem. But Tennyson sets this with the great Ulysses, the great voyager, the hero, and he's come back to the hero's welcome, and everybody, yeah, it is great. But he's gotten older, and he has what some might call divine discontent. I'm tired of sitting around and being trotted out for all the celebration about what this guy used to do. And he gets a calling. And he says, come, my friends, 'tis not too late to seek a newer world. Push off, and sitting well in order, smite the sounding furrows, for my purpose holds to sail beyond the sunset and the baths of all the western stars until I die. It may be the gulfs will wash us down. It may be we shall touch the happy isles and see the great Achilles whom we knew. Though much is taken, much abides, and though we are not now that strength which in old days moved earth and heaven, that which we are, one equal temper of heroic hearts, made weak by time and fate, but strong in will to strive, to seek, to find, and not to yield. And I say to you, if you have suffered a great defeat, or even a great success, it is time to meditate, to get still and listen for the sound of sheer silence. For it is then, and only then, that you can start again, please. And you will start again, please. God bless you.
So sacred, so secret, so precious, this love. 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 I will share, I will share. I will share, I will share. I will share, I will share this love. So sacred, so secret, so precious, this love. So sacred, so secret, so precious, this love. So sacred, we'll share. I will share, I will share. I will share, I will share this love. So sacred, so secret, so precious, this love. So sacred, so secret, so precious, this love, this love, this love, this love.
Thank you, Liz. At this time, I'd like to call up Reverend William Gill and share some of his sacred love with all of us. Morning.
In my life, I have learned that if it is to be, it is up to me. I've also learned that today is the day, tomorrow may not come. And so if you feel you have benefited from this great celebration, from the beautiful music, from the amazing and honorable speaker, I encourage you today to support this church financially. Finances are potential energy. They enable us to do the work that we came here to do. So today you may support us by giving through cash or check. Here or online, you could go to our website, unitytucson.com, and follow the links for giving. And also, hopefully, on the wall, there is a text number that you can use to get information on giving. Today is the day to do what we have been asked to do, and we ask for your support. Thank you.
Okay, and while the baskets go around, what do you say we have some fun?
Gratitude before me, gratitude behind me, gratitude to the left of me, gratitude to the right of me, gratitude above me, gratitude below me, gratitude within me, gratitude all around me. I'm so grateful, 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 I'm so grateful. Gratitude before me, gratitude behind me, gratitude to the left of me, gratitude to the right of me, gratitude above me, gratitude below me, gratitude within me, gratitude all around me. I'm so grateful, 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 I'm so grateful. Gratitude before me, gratitude behind me, gratitude to the left of me, gratitude to the right of me, gratitude above me, gratitude below me, gratitude within me, gratitude all around me. I'm so grateful, 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 I'm so grateful.
As the baskets come up, I'd ask Laura to step forward, please, and bless our gifts.
I will do that. Yes. And I think I can see you out there. It looks like Beth and Roberta. Right. Oh, well, that was a lot of fun. Thank you. Well, we are so fortunate to have these gifts that you all have shared. And let's get a little energy flowing here in our hands and say, we bless these gifts and we see these gifts going out and blessing our community and the world. And so it is. Amen.
So as we end our time together today, there's some thank yous I'd like to put out, and one of them is especially important to me because it gets to be kind of rote every Sunday doing these thank yous, but one that's so unseen and maybe one of the most vital is our technical crew. So this Sunday, please, let's give a special thank you to our technical crew. I'd also like to thank our Keeper of the Flames, Laura and Don Brazil, for assisting. I'd like to thank our prayer chaplains today. And another one that's really close to my heart. I'd like to thank Linda and the band for their wonderful music. I'd like to thank Liz. You were just magnificent today. Thank you so much. And let's not forget the one that led us today in our talk, the magnificent Reverend Dr. John Strickland. Okay, after the service, we will have a couple prayer chaplains on duty. They'll be approximately in the middle of the room here. So if you need a little moment of individual prayer, please seek them out, and they'd be glad to assist you. I forgot one person, and I'm sure Reverend Jonathan's going to check me out when he gets back. So, Reverend William Gill, thank you for coming up and during our sharing time. And with that, I believe our time today is complete. I don't know about you, but I had a lot of fun up here today. So I expect to see you all back next week. And please bring a friend with you. Linda?